Welcome back to the Double Swing. It's a rather strange episode, as we are missing our usual co-host. Yumi is stuck behind the Great Wall. I think we still call it the Chinese internet protection, or their barrier that causes all the problems for us when we go out there. So he can't join us, unfortunately. But instead, we do have a sort of replacement co-host, back-to-back days filming with him. Quacke is going to be here to preview in his place. And joining us is our guest, Garmour, who you may recognize from his tier lists, his banter on Twitter, and his videos, including my favorite, which was basically who was the worst player of last year. I saw that video, I was like, that was pretty funny. I like that one a lot. So yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. These are our guests. Before we introduce them, talk to them, get all their picks on the upcoming event, we do have to get rid of last week's event, get that out of our minds. So last time was Melbourne, and we did have a bit of a disaster. We recorded far in advance, again anticipating Yumi's China problems, and so we ended up with some strange picks. Spirit being replaced by Complexity really screwed over Elfish Guy, and overall probably put a bit of a damper on the tournament. But we ended up with myself on 3 points with the Vitality pick, Yumi picking up 2 with his favourite, and Underdog making surprise playoff appearances. And then, yeah, Elfish matches him with his Mongols and Liquid picks coming through. So some good Underdogs selected. Let's see if these guys can replicate the feat. First off, Quack, you'll have a number 1 pick. Who are you taking, and why? Please, actually, tell us exactly why, because you were hinting at some stuff before. I'm not sure which way you're taking this.
There's no reason not to pick. Oh, I kind of regret asking to have the first pick, because I wanted to throw in a curveball. Maybe I'll throw in a curveball anyway. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna put my faith in. I'm gonna put my faith in Spirit. I think Spirit are gonna make the most of the time off they've had, and the months they've had off. Because I was like, on my paper, I can show you my. Actually, not, because that's my rest of my game plan. I'm not gonna show you. On my paper, my number
Don't
one
worry,
pick
at
was
this rate, I'm not stealing anything.
my number one pick was Vitality, of course, because they have an easy group. They should win. I'm still no, okay. I think they have a hangover from the Grand Slam. Spirit, they haven't played a single game in April. They haven't played a single thing. And I think they always do that. They did that last year as well, both in the spring and fall season. Like, they took a big break. And just saying, they won Shanghai. So yeah, I'm gonna put my money on Spirit here. I think Spirit are coming in with some good stuff. They've been cooking up. Yeah.
That's bold. Okay, Garmour, tell me, am I insane?
Listen,
I actually kind of like it. I like it. Is that crazy?
I do see the vision. I do. I just feel like Vitality, it's so obvious, and like I kind of like it because he didn't go with the obvious pick. But dude, these fuckers on Vitality have plot armor at this point. After seeing them come back down 6-12 against Falcons, I think they actually have plot armor. I don't know, man. Going against Vitality is crazy, but I do respect it. I mean, with Donk playing at his peak, they can beat anyone in the world, you would think. If you can get some help from Shiro, and if Zontix decides to show up, like, sure, they can beat anyone. They were close the last time they played Vitality. So I see the vision. I still think not going Vitality is crazy.
No, there is a certain element of insanity, but it does build up nicely. When you see how none of their grand finals have been clean for Vitality recently. They need 5 maps against MOUZ, need 5 maps against Falcons, as well as triple overtime to finish it off on a map that they should be very comfortable on. I feel like the cracks starting to show just because of the endurance of it all. It is more a marathon to be an era team than it is a sprint. And yeah, they have some great sprinters, but finally converting, losing that muscle, shedding that weight, keeping that long running form up, it's a lot harder. So I get why you'd pick a real sprint team like Spirit, who at any point in any moment can just bang you out. I love the pick. I really do. And you say, like, the time off, give themselves time to work. That's exactly why we want Halley to be receiving the credit he does, because we all give him that credit as being the real tactical, like, voice and mind behind Spirit. The coach given this time off to prepare, he should get it done. Now, we did see last year they had all that time off, then came back and didn't win the first event they played. If I'm remembering correctly, the timeline, I think they did have like a top 4, then an event win. So maybe you just
like spring season.
Think so.
Like Yeah, because they took a break in the spring season, but that was because they came out of nowhere so fast after Katowice. They were easily the best team in the world, but they didn't have the ESL ranking in time to get the invites to like EPL and IEMs and shit. And also we had the Copenhagen Major, which was like another thing in the middle of there, because we didn't have ERS invites at that point. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so they basically had to take a break off. I think they played Bet Boom and Bet Boom Dacha, and yeah, they didn't come back. They still took the Blast event at the end of the spring season. I remember. Yeah, they came back for Dallas. And they goofed up. But I think that was versus. If that was versus Vitality, I'm gonna. it was against Vitality. Yeah. No, I'm sticking by it. It's gonna be.
Well, it's not changing now. It's been too long. You've locked that pick in.
They did it again, but they definitely did it again in the fall season, and that's when they came back, and like again, Shanghai, like they came through in Shanghai, off the back of their break, because again they took like I think it was after Cologne they didn't play again. They played like Bet Boom Dacha, but I don't think even MOUZ showed up in the final. No, it was Eternal Fire. So like they took some time off back at home. Yeah, I'm gonna stick by it. It's gonna be. I think this is gonna be like a donk masterclass. Because honestly, when you look at his year so far, the strangest thing is so far his year is dead ass better than his like spring season last year was at this point. At this time, he is statistically better this year than he was last year at this time, which is insane to think.
Yeah. There's no Katowice run. Obviously, that's the big thing from last year. But there is, I mean, top 4, top 2, first, 1.36 is his lowest rating, like 0.92 is his lowest KPR. Like all these stats are insane. And he's, redoubled his efforts essentially in that sense. But it hasn't really changed the narrative surrounding Spirit. And Garmour, I want your take on this. Where is it that you think the team falls down? Is it the depth of firepower? Is it a calling issue? Like who's your big, like, I blame this guy for Spirit not being the best team ever?
I've gotten a lot of pushback on this. I don't think he's bad. I just think Chopper, calling-wise, is very... like, he's fine. I don't think he's, like, the main issue in the team. I also don't think he really elevates them crazily, but at the same time, like, it doesn't help when you have Magix, who sometimes turns into the greatest player on Earth in the playoffs, and then other times is, like, easily their worst player, but I also get with his spots, like, he's more of a supportive player. He's just going to drop donk his AK. Like, you don't really... he shouldn't have to frag most of the time. And then, like, there is also Zontix, where I feel like Zontix is so wishy-washy. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm lower on him than more, like, most other people as well. I just feel like every time I watch a Spirit game, he isn't great. And like, in all the games he is very, very good, I might just not be watching. So I don't know, man. Like, I think other than Donk and Shiro, who... like, are just so reliable, and like you were saying earlier, I don't think Donk's peak is as high as it was last year, but he seems more consistent this year than he was last year, which I think is very helpful for this team. But honestly, all three of those players, it's hard for me to say, like, who's mainly at fault for them not just being easily the best team in the world. Maybe they need another star, maybe. You need a better caller. It's tough for me to say.
Yeah, the problem I have is with the discussion surrounding Spirit, it's done from a broadcast POV. Like, everyone's watched the broadcast of the match, and if you do that, you have no idea what Zontix did. Almost none. Even when he got a double kill, you didn't realize. Like, because very often he is, like, his position, his role is tangential to what the actual, like, main explosive fun part of the map was. Like, you saw... right. Donk over Chopper's shoulder, get a double kill, or throw himself through a smoke with a flashbang and get a frag, and like, oh, this is so sick. But the guy who caught the, like, CTs pushing the other side of the map was Zontix. Like, sure, he shot him in the back, he didn't have to hit headshots, the classic Zontix double. But those are the frags that kind of get missed, and I feel like when I watch the average person talk about it, or like the community in the great forums we have for intellectual discussion, HLTV, Reddit, discuss Zontix, it's very often it feels like no one actually saw what he did, and just assumed he was always trash, when really, like, some of these event runs, he's putting like 1.16 ratings. Like, you're like, if he's on any other team, you're probably talking about how they've got great depth of firepower, Why can't they make it work?
Right.
It's just we never see it. There's no highlight moments. That might speak to his impact, but it might also just speak to just some of our ignorance, I think, as a scene, by not noticing the little things he does right. Because I don't think he gets enough credit sometimes for being a safe pair of hands relative to, well, the top end of this squad, which is inevitably incredibly varied in terms of its output, just in terms of success rate, really.
Right. That's a good point. I don't really go through and watch the Spirit demos. So I guess like broadcast wise, that is a good point. They just probably don't show it that often. And I mean, over the past 3 months, he has a 108. So like he's been not bad. Like by any means, a 1.08 is great.
Yeah.
For the most part. So I don't know. Maybe it is more of a Chopper thing. I don't know. What do you guys think about Chopper? Because like I've gotten a lot of pushback. I think when I was ranking him, I put him in average, and I think I could like he's probably above average, but I don't know, man. It's tough for me to say.
I don't have a big read on Chopper, but it's not like I'm watching his games and I feel like, oh, that's like fucking genius. Like that's not. I never get that feeling when watching a Spirit game. Especially not from like something that Chopper obviously called. If I ever think that, it's more something like, wow, like Magic's he's creative, or like Shiro, that was a nice reposition, whatever. It's more that sort of stuff. But I think they, especially what they did early last year, it's like he built this system up, which was like, it's obvious that like, okay, Donk is in this position, which is obviously where he can have a lot of impact. And a lot of the time it wasn't even like the best position. Like he would play, maybe like he'd play, I can't remember if it was on Ancient. I think he was like almost the A anchor guy, like pushing super heavy into the mid fight on CT side to begin with, and then falling back to A side and like hanging around Donut. Not particularly anchor so much, but and that's sort of like, if you ask me like where I'm gonna put my best star player, I maybe wouldn't even say it towards the A side at all, like for a regular Ancient team. So that having that read to be able to say that like if this guy, I don't know, it's like a bare minimum level for what I feel like you need in a top 5 team. And I feel like that's at the very least where Chopper and Halley are. I don't know if I've seen anything which makes me believe they elevate beyond that, but they also have the talent where maybe they don't really need that in the same sense.
Yeah, see, for me, I've had an interesting roller coaster with my Spirit coverage or following, because there was a long time ago I made a video when Spirit beat Furia in a big event quarterfinal, or a major quarterfinal might have even been. But this is back when we're talking Patsy and Siren are on the roster. Like this is way back. I was praising them for a hard anti-read on Furia of like, Furia just leave mid open. You can fully exec the mid of Vertigo and just take it for free and then pivot off the back of it and win round after round. And for me, initially, it was just like, well, I wasn't paying attention to who the coach was. I was talking about their actual game plan, and I just gave Chopper the credit. Then as we've gone through time and we've seen constantly the games have come down to Halley taking, the blame or the credit for like the prep and their actual anti going in, I think maybe we do have to give Halley more credit than we give Chopper, but it's also hard to take it away from him outright. So it's a very nuanced conversation to have, very difficult one, and ultimately cut Magic, sign Kyosuke, and win everything. But they never will. They never will. That's clear. At this point, that's very clear. And I think that's a nice bow to put on the topic. Garmour, you have the second pick. You called them plot armor. Are you taking them?
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe they're here. I don't want to be like, I don't want to be the boring guy, but I feel like I've just come across a generational opportunity. I can't not take them.
Go for it.
I gotta take the boys' vitality. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's like not even what else can be said at this point. Zai Wu, like if you just look statistically and numbers wise, he actually has a case to be like the best player in Counter-Strike history. He might be having his best year of all time. You've Rops, who has like, it's crazy how good he got when he joined this team, because he was not that good in like the second half of 2024. He wasn't bad by any means, but we did not have this Rops that we have now in the second half of 2024 with FaZe. Like he was good at Shanghai, but for the most part, he was completely revived joining this team. And I don't know if that's more of like, I don't think it's saying like Apex has a better system than Kerrigan. I saw an article where Kerrigan was like, it hurts seeing Robs like play so well. And I think that's just because like it like he was very valuable to the team. It's not like a jealousy thing. It's just like, obviously like he was on the team for so long, they won a major together. It sucks for him, but I don't think that's like necessarily a better Apex system. I think it just helps alleviate a lot of the pressure when you have ZywOo like over Brokey, when you have Flames, when you have MOUZ. Like these guys are all so insane at their roles. Rob's can just do whatever he wants. And I mean, it's like they just won the Grand Slam. I can't not pick them. They're insane.
Yeah, they are absolutely overpowered. Quacke, we did, trying to defend your pick, I did build some narratives in your favor. Care to dissect this, pull it apart? Give us reasons why this isn't such an obvious number one pick, as you clearly don't believe in it to be. Like, what is it that you really want to pull down about Vitality?
I think the biggest thing I think about is that there's like a hangover thing where we always talk about how we always talk about something which has been brought up in the past is I think if you go back like back to every major we've had in history, the winning team either skips the very next event or they lose it. Like pretty much everything. I think the only team who didn't do that was like 2021 Navi after Stockholm. And then it's like Vitality, they've gone on this great run. They've won a lot of events. They get that Grand Slam, and it's quite like, I mean, look, how it's not going to take weeks to recover from one match, but you still had, it was an arduous effort, and I feel like it kind of took everything, and that's sort of the vibe I have. That like they've taken everything. They might need some time to recoup. They have Austin. I think I said on the show yesterday. I think they still, Austin is like their main target. I think the Grand Slam was nice, but I think like it was like an intermediate target. Now they have 2 more events running up until Austin. I think the way they think about the game right now is they're gonna play their game. It's not a huge deal if they lose Blast Rivals. It's not a huge deal if they lose. They're not in Astana. They're in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a big deal for them. Austin is the thing. If they go out in semis, I think they're gonna be. I'm not necessarily fine with it, and they're also like if they have that mindset, I think that's absolutely going to be the outcome. Like they're not going to win an event where they feel like, well, we're just playing for fun. Like I feel like some of these players like Apex and FlameZ especially, they feel like players who are very very emotional, and they play their performance and the way they play very much depends on how they're feeling. I think FlameZ speaks every time he appears in an interview. I feel like he's always talking about like how all of their problems were mental, and like the problems they fixed was because they spoke to the psych, and like they talked about this, and they do this, and he always talks about like how his feeling is when he steps into an arena and everything. And I think that sort of read is like if I just come off winning a Grand Slam, I'd probably, and I have the major coming up in a month and a half. I'd probably step off the gas a bit. I'd probably do that, especially for an event like this where I feel like if I'm ZywOo and I'm looking at this event page and I see I'm playing Wildcard in the first game, I have the easiest group of all time, and it's like FlyQuest are here for some reason. I do feel like I would look at this HLTV page and be a little bit like, let's just get it over with. Like I don't. This is not too important. So for that reason, I feel like they're taking the foot off the gas. I think is the big reason.
Yeah, I think that's the vibe I'm collecting from that. A very vibey type analysis, but honestly, fair enough.
Yeah.
You do have to kind of start using that when you're trying to build a case against the team that's just won everything.
Like what I'll say is if they make the grand final, they're not losing, and I don't think they go out last. I think if they make the final, then it's like, you know, it's just one step. It's like, I guess what I'm conjecturing here is they're going to go out in the semis. I guess what I'm saying.
That's what I'm picking up, because there's a good chance like the upper final of the group, you've already made playoffs, probably facing MOUZ. Let's just throw that out there. Probably MOUZ. If you lose that game because you didn't take it too seriously and you end up in the round of 6, I guess it is, because it's another 6-team playoff, an 8-team event, which is the most cupcake type like treatment you can receive as a top team. Like, you have to win 1 game of 2 to make playoffs. Oof. Don't put too much pressure on me, lads. It's might get an ulcer, but yeah, they'll be all right. They'll make playoffs. It's just, yeah, you're counting against them having the energy, the motivation to make that deep run. I think it's fair enough.
Well, saving it rather, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even if like I don't know, like the past games they've played against Spirit, MOUZ, and Falcons have all been really close too. So like even if they like are at their peak form, it could go either way. So I can see if they step off the gas at all, they for sure like they're not a shoe-in to win this.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee. And even if they are,
Being
like, I
said,
was looking through the firepower stats. I was looking through firepower stats for a lot of teams recently, and I was just like, I don't think I've seen a team so stacked, like in terms of output. Like they aren't necessarily in terms of the names, but you think about the firepower ratings of like 99 down to 80 something for Robs, I think 88, 70 something or 78, I think exactly for Flame Z, and then the two support pieces are still, one's almost 50, one's almost 40. Like they are cruising through majority of their games and just fragging out. And it's almost unfair, really, when you come into a series against them. You're like, oh, who's their worst fragger, realistically? Mezzy?
Mm.
As an anchor, he is such a bitch to play against. Like, how is this fair?
He's outperforming, like, Prime Perfecto at the moment. Which I don't say lightly. I don't
Perfecto
say
was a
that lightly.
DPR merchant. Like, let's be real. He was just unkillable. That was his thing. Like, the man didn't put up huge fragging numbers. He just didn't die. And that was the frustration.
Perfecto's lights. That being said, like the foot off the gas is the only thing I have against Vitality. Like the pick is obvious. Aside from that, I don't believe that we're gonna come. Like why I'm picking Spirit is not because I believe Spirit are gonna come out and suddenly, legitimately be better than Vitality. Like it's not. They're suddenly gonna come out as a Thunderstrike and be another best team in the world. So, so the pick is obvious. Good pick.
Yeah, that leaves me in a position to pick back-to-back teams here. Now, Quacke pre-show was talking about how, just three favorites are going to be straight off the board anyway, top three picks. I was like, well, you two have already picked your favorites. So I can now chill and look at my underdogs for a bit, like no matter the format. I'm obviously going to take the best underdog available, and it's kind of weird to say this. I don't love this team right now, and I think they could just go out and last, but I have to pick them for the quality of player that's there. FaZe are my underdog pick. Despite a lot of struggles recently, a lot of accusations of fraud, I think that'd be fair enough. Like, was Elige really getting those numbers in complexity? Was JT just setting him up to try and get him another top 10 HLTV rated, like, sort of player award? Or was it realistically just that this team needed a little more time to get settled and get good? I think Melbourne, for me, was supposed to be the litmus test. If they made it out of groups in Melbourne, I'd have been happier today to pick them. They still would have ended up as underdogs, let's be real. Falcons would have still made this run and overtaken them in the rankings. But this is a roster which, despite having multiple players who should be on the chopping block, still has strength in depth. They still have Elige, who, despite struggling, despite being fraudulent, still puts up strong fragging numbers, especially in the gun rounds. He's still one of the maybe 10 best riflers in the scene, which isn't really that big of a knock. Frozen's been outstanding on the CT side. In terms of players who come in and just mop things up, clean up rounds, you know what K Serato is meant to be. Frozen has been that for FaZe, time and time again. T-side impact he's still struggling with. What this team falls down on is, unfortunately, 3 players, which feels wild. It used to be, it's just Rain, maybe we can cut Rain. Sometimes it's, Brokey's on his downturn. He'll be back. Both of these are happening, plus some of Carrigan's calling has been awful. I've seen T-sides where he's run inner pops 3 rounds straight and lost them all, and I'm just thinking, this man used to be a master on Nuke. How is he not feeling it? How is he not playing out mid-rounds, making adjustments, making calls that players, teams like Falcons have been able to do with Kixan at the helm? He's not been able to find that same read. I've been struggling with that side of FaZe. Like, when they fail on the individuals, that's cool. Carrigan letting me down, my whole belief system is shook. Like, my prophet is lying to me. This is wrong. But look, the other underdogs are Pain with a new player, FlyQuest with Regali, who is great, but he can't save them, I don't think, in this tournament. And Wildcard, it's too many kids, and you can't win anything with kids. You know, that's just not happening. So FaZe Clan to make an underdog run, make playoffs. I don't need them to do much more. Just be top 6 at an event where 3 teams are for sure worse than you. I'm not asking too much, Carrigan. Come on, do me a solid. Do me a solid.
Yeah, I feel like...
No, go ahead.
Okay. I feel like... I don't know. I've kind of noticed this when watching FaZe as well. Like, Carrigan just... He seems tired, man. Like, I feel like Shanghai mentally it just cooked him. Like I that's like all that I can really take away is like he doesn't look like he's. I don't want to say he's not like trying as hard because that's like a crazy thing to just throw out, but he does seem just like not in it as much this year, at least from what I've seen. And like you look at this team, like at least stats wise, they look not awful. Like Frozen is a 1.15 over the past month, Alicia 114, Brokey a 107, Rain a 102. Like Rain's always gonna get you a 10 something. But then you put on the top 10 filter and it's tough. Like for some reason they just cannot play against top 10 teams to save their lives. Frozen goes down to a 103, Alicia 0.99, a Brokey down to a 0.7. I mean, I keep seeing FaZe fans, they're out for Brokey's head. They want Brokey done. Like, they want him gone. And I did see that, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about this tournament, so I don't want to go too far into the future, but I did see that apparently Dexter joined a team, or he's going to join a team before Austin.
Yep.
I feel like FaZe makes the most sense, but I mean, we'll have to see. At least for this tournament, yeah, I don't think they'll be great against the top 4 teams, but against the 3 teams below them, they should be fine. Like, and 6 teams make the playoffs. They should make the playoffs bare minimum, I would think.
Yeah, it feels like the locked-in underdog is FaZe, right? In that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quacke, I want to pose you a question because we're always talking about the Eternal Shuffle every Monday. I want you to suggest someone that isn't Dexter. Who's your pick of an AWP replacement? Or hell, if you even think Brokey is the problem, would you make a Rain change? Like, what's going through your mind?
If we're supposing that Falcons actually are cutting Tessis for Kyusuke as reported, Tessis is a slam dunk signing for FaZe, I think, for Rain. But beyond that, I find it hard to put anybody in exactly for Rain. But it kind of comes down to how much could you do with a better opper. It's hard to pick somebody if I was going to do it tomorrow.
Quite a lot, to be honest. With a like a properly competent like top 5 to 10 sort of ups in the world level AWPer, it probably could do a fair bit. Considering, as we've said, Frozen Elige giving you the numbers, and just everything falls down.
Brokey's good. He's been good. He's never been that good where he's ever going to contend with a MOUZ or a Zaiwu or even a Shiro, even, I would say, especially now, on like pure head-to-head. I don't think there's anybody even remotely available or even remotely proven who would be. I think the fact that G2 have had to resort to picking Hades as their stand-in kind of proves that. If I was going to take a chance on somebody, I might go for, like, everybody says Grix.
Yeah, they do.
Grix said he said no to Furia, just as a side note. He said
Which
that
is
they
fair
offered
enough.
and he said no. Yeah, I would also say no to Furia. But I'm trying to see if I'm trying to lift somebody. In the offseason, I said Sun Pius, and I still think that's kind of valid. But I don't see like an obvious. No, there is none. There's actually a stark lack of good oppers in the layer, which we would consider the feeder tier. Like the fact that Halzerk is looking really like a potentially really solid opper.
Halzerk is my goat, man. I love
Dude,
him.
but if we could get Halzerk Elige back on FaZe, though, I'm actually kind of on board with this.
That could be sick. Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, actual how good it will be, probably bad. But entertainment wise, if I'm just watching games, give me washed 45-year-old Simple on this team.
Oh fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, like entertainment wise, I think it'd be great. How good he would be, you know, we'd have to see.
I heard Guardian's a free agent.
Hey.
No, I'd like to
got
see
Olaf
that.
on the team, don't they? He's benched. Could bring the
Run
boys
it back,
back.
man. Run it back. Run it back. No, I would say we have the FaZe pick. I think it's valid. They seem like the obvious underdog. I wouldn't pick them, but we'll get onto that.
Well, we're not sure what you're going to pick. You got the last pick, and that's going to be ugly, I think.
Yeah.
Your team might not be available.
I think it's valid. Look, Are they beating Falcons in the opening game? I don't think so. I have nothing. No, even with Dexter, they've lost to Falcons previously several times actually this year. So no. Are they beating FlyQuest? I'm not even ready to say yes, to be honest. If they're beating FlyQuest, because I feel like we've seen FaZe FlyQuest maybe 3 times in a best of 3 in the past 6 months or so, and it's been double digits on every map. I think. Like, I'm not even joking about that.
Yeah, Regali and some Crikeys will not be enough, I don't think, to beat FaZe, because they are currently just... It's Inns calling again. We'll get into FlyQuest, I'm sure, at some point. Let's leave it at that. But I'm liking this pick. But I do have another pick now. And this one is my favorite. I just watched them play a BO5 against Vitality and come stupid close to winning it. I think they're a better pick than Spirit right now on form. Give me Falcons. This team was surprisingly effective. Let's put it that way, straight out of the gate. Like, we knew they'd be good, given that they just added another great player, a player who's already got existing chemistry with their essentially like leader on the team. He's not the IGL Nico, but let's be real. When Nico figures it, when Nico's flowing, when Nico's feeling the game, Falcons win games, even prior to the Muncie edition. Like, so adding in a guy he's really comfortable with, basically raised the guy in Tier 1 CS, was always going to work. The fact that they then went on to actually make that grand final, make it a close game, make it a thrilling game. I mean, a lot of people writing it up as the best BO5 in CS2. I think that might be a fair call. I just think this roster has so much going for it in terms of the individuals between their experience and their fragging, and already some of the early manifestations of chemistry with what I saw on the server. I think they're a bit of a loose can here and will probably upset a lot of people on their way through to maybe winning the event. I'm not saying that it's a guarantee, I'm just saying there's a chance. They haven't had much time to prep, so I don't think they're going to play much differently than they did in Melbourne. And that was a looser sort of feel-based approach that I think will definitely translate here and keep manifesting these sorts of results. They're going to beat FaZe, I think, in a relatively comfortable opening matchup. And even if they don't, well, both of my picks are going to make playoffs is my bet here. So I like Falcons for this one. I honestly, I have them as more dangerous to the top teams than Spirit right now. I think Spirit take a huge break. They're going to come in with a bit of ring rust, even. Falcons, no such thing. They're lubed up. They're ready to go. They're going to start plowing. Someone tell me I'm wrong.
Do you know what the perfect game to get rid of some ring rust is? It's when you, like, first time you queue up after like 5 days of not playing CS, you go into like a matchmaking game on Office. You know, the easiest opponents you've ever met. Just, you know, hit some heads. And that's what Spirit have in their opening game. It's FlyQuest. They are not going into that upper final against Falcons with any ring rust whatsoever. Like, no way. I think you're right though. Falcons are a good pick here. And yeah, I think it's like a 50-50. You say a 50-50 with Spirit. I would honestly put MOUZ in that conversation as well, because they match up really well against some of the teams here and really poorly against some others. But I think Falcons is the absolutely right pick here. Yeah, it's a form pick.
It is a form pick, that's true. Garmour, your reaction to that Falcons run, because we haven't heard... I don't really know your reaction to Falcons just this entire year. It seems like probably they're a team you've been more critical of if I had to judge your Twitter reactions. What's your take after this event?
I mean, yeah, I'm a huge Nico respecter. I love that Nico and Monaseed are back together. You know, they were the reason they broke up in the first place, but they still brought them back together. And I mean, I didn't get to watch too much of the Melbourne playoffs. It literally was like from 1 a.m. till 6 a.m. for me, so I just didn't get to watch that much. But it was tough. But I did watch that last nuke map against Vitality. And from everything I've seen, I think, like, for everyone in the community, Kixin has gained everyone's respect as like a caller, a fragger, everything. And I think, like, if he can like call and frag that well, like, consistently, I think Falcons are easily the second best team in the world, because you know Monacy and Nico are going to deliver. So then I feel like it falls mostly on Kixin. And then if Tessis can keep fragging like how he did at Melbourne. And then I think I'm gonna defend Magisk. I know
for it.
everyone wants him replaced. I just think throughout Nico's entire career, he's been surrounded by people like, I guess besides Olaf, but it's been mostly people that like haven't really won majors and haven't done a ton. Like besides Olaf and FaZe, it was before Kerrigan won his major. Guardian, consistent choker at majors. Then he goes to G2 and it's like Monacy's this young kid, his cousin Hunter. Eventually he has Mauled. It's a lot of people who haven't done a lot at majors. And I think Magisk, I think his experience is so useful if like he can just not be mechanically so dog shit. If he can like be better than a 0.9 rating, like if he can literally just be closer to a 1, I think like they have all the reason in the world to keep him, because like obviously he knows what he's doing. Like 4-time major winner. I feel like that can help Nico in Monacy so much, at least like major wise. I like going into this tournament, I think they're still going to be hot. I don't think they take a step back. Maybe Tesses does individually, but I still think Nico and Monacy in themselves is enough. I loved what I've been seeing from Kixin. I think this is a great pick. I thought I was going to have him, honestly. I thought that was going to be my team at number 2, but no, it's a great pick.
Yeah, I love it. And I do love the Magisk defense, because I did throw some numbers out there at one point. I was looking up just full buy stats. As an anchor, full buy, like his rating comes out to a 1.06. I'm not going to complain too much. Like, as much as in the big impact spots, maybe you'd expect a bit more, because some anchor spots do end up being quite impactful. He's still overall not a complete bot throwing the game away. He knows when to stay alive, he gets the occasional frag, and we saw, like, some maps started out, like the train game they played, I can't remember which one it was, where there's, like, multiple rushes straight at him, and both those times delivers a multi-kill. Like, at least 2. He's not complete trash. The part where he falls apart is the T side, where it's like he can die. Beyond that, I'm not really sure what he's good at anymore on the T side. Like, he used to be like a very dependable pack player who could trade, who could even hard entry if needed, could close around. He's like a real multi-tool on Astralis. On Falcons, he's just one of those paintings with every color smashed on it. Like, it's shit, but it's different every time. I'm not a fan of what I'm looking at. So no, I do respect also the defense from the aspect of the veterancy, the fact that he's a more vocal player historically as well. Certainly helps if Kixan's going to be looser. You're going to have Nico bring up a lot of ideas. Magisk, very important with that experience, and also that connection with Zonic to help keep them on structure. So I do think there's a lot of points to make in favor of keeping Magisk. Unfortunately, raw fragging output will never be one. Let's be clear. Like, it's going to be he's okay or he's terrible, and we've got to try and live through the terrible if we're Falcons.
That's fair.
He's never gonna. I don't think Magisk is ever going to lose a series for Falcons, like single-handedly. I don't think he's that kind of guy.
He's taken a lot. I'm just saying this now. He's taken a lot of flack for this one. That grand final. I've got at least 3 comments straight away on Monday's video that were just like, Magisk lost the final for Falcons.
Oh, no ice is what they have, those people. He's never gonna win. He's very rarely gonna win a game, like for Falcons either. But like, there's a lot of players who would be in his positions and would be an active liability for the team, like actively worsening occasionally, like throwing away a game. But he's got the experience. He's obviously got the skill to sort of handle those situations, and occasionally he's gonna get the weird one tap which cracks open around, which happened in the said final. Yeah, Falcons are good. I think Falcons are gonna do well here. I would probably put them somewhere in the grand final if I was drawing out the bracket. How it goes for them, I don't know. It could also be honeymoon. Like I'm up for like it could also just be a honeymoon. It could just be they get countered like shit whenever they face Vitality or Spirit, or even MOUZ. Like they've matched up a lot against MOUZ. Like maybe they get completely anti-stratted, completely countered, whatever. But
hard to envision given the turnaround between events though. Like
Melbourne
Finals Sunday, they travelled Monday. they start playing Wednesday. Like, this is asking a lot of teams to anti-strat in the space of 3 days.
Yeah, well, you know.
Just saying. That's why I'm counting on that honeymoon to continue. And yeah, we'll see after that if I still believe. We'll see after that.
See after that. But
right.
Very solid pick. I respect it.
Garmour, back to you. You have an underdog to take, and you've got Wildcard, FlyQuest, and Pain still on the board. Oof. Who do you like?
In my heart, I want to pick Wildcard. I think I actually don't mind what FlyQuest have been doing, but I think I gotta pick Pain.
Damn it.
These guys on Pain at Melbourne, at Melbourne, they played FaZe with a coach and a stand-in. Both maps went 13-11. Are you kidding me? And like on paper, every single move this team has made is a great move. Like when they initially added Snow, he was a demon in tier 2. Like it made sense. They kind of put him in awful roles, and I think he hasn't adjusted to tier 1 very well. But like on paper, adding him makes sense. David Duaz, that also makes sense. He was a beast on red cannons for however long. And then DGT, they literally are just like picking all of the best riflers from various teams in South America and then adding them. So I think on paper, like Pain is a very, very exciting team, in my opinion. I think Big U's era is very good. We'll have to see what he can do with all these pieces. I think NQZ as well, like he struggled against tier 1 for a very long time. But so far this year, he's actually looked like pretty solid, in my opinion. And I mean, they're probably going to be in the lower bracket against Wildcard. They probably win that game if I had to guess. So I'm sure they make playoffs at the very least, and then I think they genuinely could beat a team like FaZe in the playoffs. Everyone else, we'll have to see. I am also like a FaZe hater, so I'm very low on them. But I don't mind Pain. I think they make playoffs. I like what they've been doing. Like on paper, it makes sense. We'll just have to see how it actually plays out.
Yeah, we will. Look, the Big U0 story is always interesting, isn't it? You know, we like him. It's the same way we sort of like Blitz. He's the lead from the front, fragging IGL with a bunch of like younger players and developing talents. I do think this is a secretly high valuable pick, like highly valuable. And that aspect of like with a coach and a stand-in, like an academy kid stand-in, they were competitive. Yeah, it really speaks to the top end value on this team. Quacke, you wanted this pick, clearly by your reaction. They were high on your draft board, as it were. What is it you like about this team most?
I would have picked them over FaZe. I think, and like the addition of DGT is so good because this is reforming an old 9Z core, which was so good under much better leadership, and like that's just so valuable. And look, when it comes to the DGT, that's an unknown quantity. He didn't do too hot recently on 9Z. Like he didn't play that great towards the end of the 9Z stint there. But I saw Pain cut their best rifler for Davideus and get even better. And when they can make a move like that, and still, like, I trust them implicitly in whatever roster move they want to make. Absolutely, 100%. So, for that reason, I think Pain are going to be really good. I'm not even sure I wouldn't even guarantee they find themselves in the lower bracket because a MOUZ upset there is entirely possible. I think it's entirely on the board, I would say, in that first game.
Straight off the bat, just upsetting MOUZ.
I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put money on it, but like,
okay.
I think I would probably think I would probably look at that as like, I could see that happening, yeah, because whatever they've been prepping, DGT has been coming for such a long time as well. Like I think it first got leaked in March that it was gonna start happening, and I don't know how much they've been practicing with that. They've had a busy schedule, but this move was obviously done a lot earlier than it was official. So for that reason, I think it's very thought out. DGT is probably already very much inside this team, so to speak, and I think we're gonna see a solid Pain. It's not gonna be like a stumbly first time as much as you would maybe expect. And MOUZ is also one of those teams where like they have a really solid record against teams they like against basically everybody except Vitality so far this year. But you never know. Like you never really know who's gonna underperform on MOUZ at any one point. You never really know what's gonna go on. So I could see them upsetting that opening game. But even if they end up in the lower bracket, I do think they're the favorites there, and I think we'll see them in the playoffs. And I mean, if they play FaZe at any point in that playoffs, who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah, to play FaZe, they'd have to. Well, one of the two has to be a 2 seed. Seeing as no one's really that positive on FaZe winning their opening matchup, it's likely that both 3 seeds don't face each other until that grand final. At which point, I mean, hey, incredible run for the both of them. Such crazy underdog picks if that is the case, but I highly doubt that. No, the surprise factor will be important. Having had time to prep with DGT, who, as you rightly said, has been a killer in the past, not too hot towards the end of that last 9Z stint, that last period of that iteration, I guess, of that squad, because they've done a lot of changing, a lot of pretty confusing moves as an outsider looking into that scene, because I'm not too familiar with deeper players, but who the hell are some of these guys? So, no, DGT on Pain I think is going to be exciting. I do love the pick. I'm just curious about, if they do make playoffs, how convincing can they be? Because I do think they've got a good match in terms of the wildcard lower final, if that's where they end up finding themselves. But once they play a bigger team on a stage, this is going to be we have a stage in Denmark, right, for this event?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a very
this is studio. This is studio. It was supposed to be.
This is all studio.
I'm pretty sure it was this one which was supposed to be in Argentina, but or maybe not Argentina, but somewhere else, somewhere overseas, but they couldn't secure the venue in time.
Monterrey. There you go.
Monterrey. Yes, sorry. And they had to move it. So this is Copenhagen studio.
Damn.
And
none of us picked
MOUZ.
Pain were in this Copenhagen studio and beat FaZe online to make it there, and very nearly beat Navi just earlier this year. I'm so mad I don't have this pick. Fuck.
Yeah, love to see what they're going to come out with. But let's wrap it up. Quacke, you got the final pick. You need to take an underdog. You've been left with, teams we've had only good things to say about so far. I mean, who doesn't love Wildcard and FlyQuest? Which one do you prefer?
I absolutely do not love FlyQuest a single bit. I want Wildcard. I want Wildcard. And look, I've literally just said I don't think they're making it out of groups. But this is the group where I think a lot can happen. Look, half a year ago, Wildcard winning an opening game against Vitality would have been the most Vitality thing ever. But not this year. So I'm not even going to entertain that idea. But a lower bracket game against Pain, or as I've just said, maybe even MOUZ, Wildcard swing so much. Like, they swing so much, where just the other day we had possibly the worst map anyone has ever had on HLTV out of Wildcard in an online game.
Yes.
Stanislaw had 50 ADR. No, not even ADR. 50 damage the whole game. I've never underperformed that hard in a single game. So there's...
You've never played Bet Boom, though, have you?
I've never played Bet Boom. But then we also see them just come out and like 13-0 somebody in Katowice, which is like the whole other end of the spectrum. Or 12-0 maybe it was, just one half. And it's so different. It's so strange. And I don't even know what to think about them. And there's a chance. So yeah, and like I see good stuff out of them. They have players who can definitely perform. They have players who I think show up when it matters. They have some other players who don't show up when it matters. Thinking about the Susp Jeba differential there. But FaZe has been showing really good stuff. Last year, I think FaZe was one of the slightly weaker parts of Wildcard. Part of that was having to play American games from Europe. But even when they were showing up in the major and stuff, I felt like FaZe was maybe the guy who wasn't quite where he should be. This year, I feel like that's flipped. FaZe is absolutely doing everything he should. I think I might pick him as even the best player on this team at the moment. But then you also have Susp. Susp is a big game player. Every time it's an elimination series, I feel like I can always count on Susp being in the upper layer of the scoreboard. Jeba, he's a bit hit or miss. But then Sonic and Stanislaw also have this pretty solid floor. And you don't even see that bad of a performance individually out of Stanislav, which is something we wouldn't have said 3 years ago. So I'm hopeful that they can make a game against Pain, if nothing else. If nothing else. And
a resounding
look,
endorsement, really. Like I think everyone who was betting on Wildcard just feels a lot worse now.
I have. It's the last pick, so the timelines I'm making here to try to form this into a good result they're gonna be unlikely. But if we're supposing FaZe beat Falcons, lose to Spirit, and Wildcard beat Pain, we have Wildcard FaZe in the quarterfinal in a studio. I'll take Wildcard for that.
Insane, literally insane. But hey, Garmour, this guy's picking an underdog who probably has to go through your underdog, unless you get that opening upset. What worries you about Wildcard? What is it about them that could threaten Pain in your eyes?
I really have to piss. Can we cut this out real quick?
Yeah, sure.
God bless.
Keep it in, please.
This is going to be the first time I have to edit in post in so long.
Keep this in, man. Put it up as a members only blooper. The double swing blooper reel. That one time Yumi said the N-word, also included.
Just to be clear, Yumi has never said the N-word on this show or any other, as far as I'm aware. Not even before the show.
Also, as far as I'm aware, this was a joke.
Oy, oy, oy.
Dude, I should have picked last pick. If I would have picked last pick, now that I know, I wasn't sure if you guys had Falcons over Spirit, and I wanted Spirit. I wasn't sure about that.
I mean, look, did what you had to do. If you believe in Spirit, there you go. Take him.
Yeah.
You're going to take him anyway.
If I had last pick, I could have picked Pain and Spirit, though, in hindsight.
Yumi said the what? What the fuck?
He most definitely did not.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's see. So, yeah, I mean, Wildcard's gonna have to run through Pain, but listen, as an NA guy, this pains me. It does pain me. And I like that you actually brought up their map against BetBoom, because I don't think people realize that the Stanislav .02 rating might actually be foreshadowing to the Vitality 02 against them, but we'll have to wait and see. It's up for debate. We'll have to wait and see. But I think for Wildcard after Shanghai, I was so high on them. I thought with Stan at the helm, if JBA could start performing better on LAN, they could easily be the best team in all of North America. And I think it's become very clear recently what they are. They're just probably the third best team in North America, and they're like 20 to 30 in the world, if I had to guess. Like they're just not better than BentBoom. They're not better than Heroic. I think they're probably worse than M80 and Complexity. And it sucks, man, because I actually think they might have the highest ceiling out of any team in NA. Like, I love Stan. I've actually talked to JBA before, and he's told me, because I asked him, like, why are you such a demon in online games? And then, like, it comes to LAN, and it's not great. And he basically just told me, like, it's confidence issues, because he's pretty new to tier 1 overall. And so I feel like, I don't know how long they wait, because I mean they've been like rolling with JBA since they started their team. So I'm assuming they keep rolling with him, and I think eventually, if he can get over those confidence issues, like this team can really make that next step. FaZe I think is great, and like you said, he wasn't insane last year. I think he had some crazy peaks at Pro League, but that was about it. Other than that, he was kind of meh. I do love Susp. Sonic. He's hit or miss for me. But, I mean, overall, like, I love this team. Sadly, they're just not beating Pain in the lowers. I guess that's about it, yeah.
I guess
Pain and Wildcard have faced up exactly once. And it was in the American RMR Studio LAN for Shanghai. Best of one. And Wildcard won 13-10. So they have a 100% win rate, baby. 100%.
Look, I can make you a realistic case for Wildcard beating Pain. It's not that complicated for me. I think Wildcard for a start have the calling edge. I think Stanislaw has been one of the more impressive IGLs in terms of the things he's called and the things his teams have executed on in games. Probably almost at any level, but especially in the lower tiers of play. They have a player in Susp who has been the closest thing to a rock that a team that loses this much can have, right? Let's put it that way. Like they are still a tier 1.5 at best sort of team, but Susp has been outstanding almost in every context. The other part of them that's going to be, I think, a threat, a danger, is the literal wizardry that FaZe seems to be able to pull off this year. The number of, and I mean literally impossible clutches this man has won to keep his team in games, 1v4s with Tech 9s, etc. That's the main highlight, but there's more that just fill out the rest of the resume if you go through and watch. There are things that make them a threat to a team like Pain. Wildcard have the reps, they have their strat book down, they're not integrating anyone new. And sure, they took some really ugly losses in EU this week. But let's remember that this is the event they're really playing for. And we've seen it before, especially with teams leading up to last year's major. The teams who were qualified took their foot way off the gas. They let themselves go and lose a bunch of games, realistically, just so they could focus on their prep, keep training, keep repping the strats, rather than actually doing the right thing in each match individually. So I'm going to put that sort of delusional confidence into Wildcard, that they are, in a certain way, like sort of tanking those games in favor of Blast Rivals, which for them is a much bigger event, much bigger scalp. And just say that the things that have made them work so far this year are still present. They haven't changed the individuals. They still have those pieces. I think there's a great chance they can make that Pain win happen. Whether or not they can make anything else happen, like a Wildcard versus Vitality upset, I'm never going to predict that. I think that's borderline impossible. Like, run it 100 times, they might win it in a parallel, like Quantum Universe, like a half time. Like, they can't actually do it once, but maybe half a win. That's what I'm talking about. Like, they're just not at that level. But against a Pain who are fresh, who typically are sometimes a bit looser, that Stanislaw can manipulate and outthink, I think there's a great chance they can make that win happen and just sneak into playoffs. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I feel like specifically Susp, I did just look this up to try to back up my point, and I'm absolutely correct. His LAN average is not that good. It's 102. He plays some tough roles. They've had some tough games. But on Wildcard, his best LAN maps are the big ones, because it's the Decider series against M80 in Challenger Atlanta last year, where they made it through after losing to M80 in the opener even. So it's like a big deal. Both of those maps are in his top 4 on LAN maps. It's a big map in the Shanghai Major where they won. It's the Passion UA game where they won in overtime, also the same major. I think it would have been the Challenger stage. The 0-3 game against Gamer Legion, they lose, but that's what the map they won there against Gamer Legion in the series. That's his best LAN map on Wildcard so far. It's a 28-13. So, like, he shows up in these big games. He also has absolute stinkers, for sure. Like, his worst LAN map is an 0-13 against Liquid. So, but to have that sort of extra kicker, like you say, he's a rock to somebody who can kick in extra gear when things matter. That's huge. Uzi's big. Stanislaw's good. Sonic is one of my pet players. I've liked him for a long time. He's he's a Magus kind of guy. He's gonna hold it down, and he's not gonna lose a map for you. Maybe a map, not a series. J-Buz's gonna lose a map for you, occasionally. But he's also gonna win them when he absolutely shows up. And once he gets that confidence, of course, like he's new, it's gonna take some time. Once he gets that, and it could be at this event, it could be in 6 months, it could be in 2 years. When he hits that, I think he's gonna be big for that as well. So, for that reason, I think Wildcard, it's definitely a pick that I'm still not unhappy with. And I give much better chances to FlyQuest.
Okay. All right, but on that note, shall we talk about the 2 teams we haven't picked? We have to address them a bit, I think. Let's start with MOUZ. Now, I obviously didn't pick them. They are in the favorites category. I was there between them and Falcons. I saw what happened in Melbourne. That was a landslide. They have had a pretty strong run of things with this roster, though. So who here's betting on a resurgence, or are we all pretty much on the same page that 4th in this group of teams is about right?
Yeah, I I feel like I'm just a little low on them because of that Falcons game, but like other than that, they're so dominant against literally every other team in the scene that's not Vitality, and I guess apparently now Falcons. Like they're just so consistently good. One thing that does concern me is like over the past month, Torji has been not great. He is a 1 rating, which surprised me actually, because I mean Torji is a beast and I expect a lot out of him. So I don't think that slide's great, but even with that, like they've still been insane. I think the Sphinx edition has been phenomenal. He looks like rejuvenated on this team. So I still think they're insane. They honestly, this could just be recency bias because I haven't played. I might even put them over Spirit, but we're gonna have to wait and see. Like genuinely, but I know MOUZ is great. Yeah, we'll have to see how they do at this tournament.
I don't think putting them above Spirit is even that egregious because MOUZ, they're really good, but they have a tough time against Vitality and Falcons, especially. I mean, look, even Falcons, they were doing decent against them before MOUZ, but as soon, like in Melbourne, they kind of got smacked. And Vitality's basically like since Cluj-Napoca playoffs started, because they stumbled a bit in groups, but like since the playoffs, they've only lost to Vitality and Falcons with MOUZ. That's the only games they've lost. They also match up really well against Spirit. They've played them twice. It was a 2-1 victory both times this year, which is solid. Like there's other teams who definitely struggling in Spirit, such as Navi, have a ridiculously hard time against Spirit. So having that matchup is beneficial for them. I think MOUZ Spirit is not at all an unlikely semi-final or quarterfinal to happen. Like say Falcons take that Spirit win in the upper game, and they end up against MOUZ. Fully possible, or the other way around. Sorry, Spirit win, and then MOUZ lose in the upper finals. Then that's a quarterfinal, and that's entirely possible. So semi-final. I had my playoffs brackets all wrong. Anyway, point being, they match up really well against them, but also really poorly against Vitality. Yeah. I mean, there's a part of me which wants to pick them because it's Brawl On. And it's a team I've always liked.
It's Studio.
Yeah, it's Studio, yeah.
It's Studio.
Yeah, last time they played in the Studio, they won because that was Cluj. Oh no, sorry, they came second in EPL.
No, there's certainly things to like about them, and yes, there's obviously the same old meme. Oh, they're in a studio this time, no crowd.
Yep.
We'll get maximum force out of Xerxian, get everything we love. I think for me, it's not a huge slide. I mean, they've just added a second team to the list of teams they could lose to, considering how they were before they made this signing. That's pretty impressive. But I did say something that worried me was that initially when they're winning games against the likes of Spirit, they're doing a lot of it off the back of T-play with 5 rifles. And that includes huge fragging numbers on those rifles with Torji. And that just didn't seem sustainable at all. Now, the part that has been awesome is seeing Sphinx just unleashed. Like, he's not just hitting shots, but he's just playing more confident. He's more involved. There's less lurking to his baiting. He's more trading, which is more useful, I think, for a team that likes to play in a big pack like they do. We've seen less and less of Jimfat, but honestly, considering he's supposed to be a failsafe, that's fine. Like, I think a lot of people have taken a step back from like supporting Jimfat, and whilst I must admit, my take of he's a next superstar, like prototype, like of this technically shit role player who just outperforms his roles, has somewhat lost its luster. He's still, for me, a really dependable piece on this team. And so the real question is, can Brawlhand continue to call at a level that allows them to beat the Spirits, allows them to be competitive against the Vitalities? And well, they've only had one game against this new Falcons and got smashed, but assuming they find some form again, competitive with them, I think that's the big question. To me, the Brawlhand part of this is the interesting conversation, because his reads on T-side, his understanding of how to manipulate his team and set them up was quite important to them winning. So I do want to see a return to form here, just for future conversations. I don't feel confident having them over Spirit after that crushing loss, but I do like them as a team who could return to that point.
Yeah, they have some troubles when they hit playoffs, and obviously, again, Studio. It's going to be same old.
Yeah, look,
But,
this was a lot made of that, right? And
Yeah.
we keep having to say, no, we have exceptions. We have this event where they really good in the semi-final, they're really good in the quarterfinal here. They just didn't quite get this done. And on this big stage, actually, they played fine. It's starting to become a bit too much of a narrative rather than an actual thing that we see. But at least here, there is no question mark. There's not even a narrative to propose. It's a studio. We're gonna get a level playing field in that sense, and we're gonna get them as good as they can be. So this will be a great testing point. How they play in these playoffs, should they, knock on wood, make it there. We'll be able to judge them a lot more confidently.
I think for me is I keep doubting this team. Throughout all of these tournaments they've been in, I just keep doubting them, and they keep proving me wrong. But then, of course, as soon as I believe in them, they get blown out by Falcons. So I feel like they're so tough for me. I don't want to doubt them because I keep doing it and they keep proving me wrong. But I feel like it's also at the same time, it's hard for me to fully 100% buy in.
Yeah, no, I get your problem. I get the issue. It's one of those things where I'm not a fan though. I'm not a MOUZ fan technically anymore. I remember when I could have the luxury of watching games as a fan. Doesn't really happen anymore. As much as I do have bet players, there's just too much. There's too much involvement, I think, to ever truly watch as a neutral, not neutral, very biased, overexcited, emotional viewer. And so for me, MOUZ is a team where I'm like, things I like, things I don't like. Very rational, very cool. I wish I could still support them. But all right, let's just give them some credit. FlyQuest won a series at the last event they played, which is more than most people would have given them credit for ahead of time, given the roster change, and given the fact that some people, even on the roster move before this one, were doubting any of their additions. FlyQuest, not a pick any of us made. Garmour, what's your read? How much do you like Regali? Really, that's what your judgment of FlyQuest comes down to, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Regali's been great since joining this team. It's so funny when you look at them because they're so incredibly dominant in Australia. And then literally as soon as they play any tier 1 to tier 1.5 team, it does seem rough. But like you said, they did beat VP. They took a map off Navi. The two they lost weren't really that close. But it is growing pains, Ins coming in, or old Ins becoming the IGL and then Netted coming in. I don't really know if this solves their issues in tier 1, so I don't love them. I still do really like Regali. I just don't think he's good enough to single-handedly carry them really consistently over other teams. I am happy they replaced Dexter. Personally, I just wasn't really that high on him. And I think for a team like them, if it wasn't working, why not bring in more firepower? And to add on to that, I feel like minus Liaz plus JKS at this point as well. JKS hasn't been his peak self lately. He's probably 75 to 80% of the JKS that we used to know. I still think he's better than Liaz. I don't know roll for roll. They don't fit on every map, but it's pretty close overall. But yeah, for the most part, I don't really see FlyQuest doing too much at this tournament, sadly.
I understand the misgiving. Obviously, Regali, just to rep my boy, did carry them through that game against Virtus Pro, so he does have one example at least I can point to, see, he can carry these bums to something. But looking at the matchups they have to get through, yeah, it's a bit difficult to envision much. They have to beat... If they can beat Spirit in the opening game, whatever. Crazier things have happened, but that would be insane. But it's just the lower bracket game then, probably facing FaZe. Look, not everyone was as high on FaZe as I was. Quacke, do you see them having a chance in that matchup? VP, FaZe, they're not really that big of a difference in terms of level of team right now, by a lot of people's judgments.
FaZe and VP are similar in a lot of aspects, and one of them is that they can lose to fucking anyone. Because just a couple of weeks prior, Virtus Pro also lost to, drumroll please, Rare Atom. And FaZe, just, they look at that extra FaZe gear that I bring up sometimes with FaZe magic happens in playoffs, and whenever it matters, that's when Brokey becomes good. They didn't have that against Gamer Legion. So like, and they lose to Astralis in a stage game in 2025. Who does that? So I can't give FaZe a lot of credit, but I also can't give FlyQuest a lot of credit because like the bar you set for them the other week, they won a series. Like, how low of a bar is that, and how low of a bar is that to meet?
Aussie CS, bro. Come on, like.
Yeah, they had
Win
the
a
home crowd
series.
advantage and everything. Not even the crowd. They had the home advantage. Like it was the air quality index they were used to and everything. For being in Australia. Anyway, they Regali can just carry him up. It's not going to be enough. Like he tried to carry that final map against Navi as well, and it wasn't enough. Navi still closed that out, and they like beating VP. That was the first time in eons that FlyQuest managed to beat a European team, and here they have a group with 3 European top teams. There's no way in hell they make it out of this group. I won't give. I'll give them maybe the FaZe game. Maybe the FaZe game. Maybe. Because again, they can lose to anyone. And they match up sometimes. It's much closer than it should be. FaZe almost lost to Pain with a coach and a stand-in. I'll give them maybe that one. But then they're gone. Then it's 13-0 in the quarterfinal. That's what happens. And yes, put JKS in. I absolutely want that to happen. It should be over the summer. That should be a slam dunk.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything away. Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from FlyQuest either, but I don't think it's a surprise that VP were like dysfunctional after that clip of Electronic just screaming at Icy came out. Like I feel like the vibes on VP are not great right now either.
No.
But then again, like Regali was a demon in that series, so
yes.
I just don't know if like against like a serious top 10 team, if it's enough to win like 3 maps.
Nope.
Probably not. But look, it's not that insane of a thing to project. I just think it's as much as I am picking FaZe to beat them if they do have to face them. I just don't think it's correct to really dismiss them outright. I don't think they are necessarily that weak, especially given who was picked over them. Wildcard haven't shown us exactly the greatest form, be it LAN online or anywhere else. So I do think FlyQuest deserve a little bit of something. I
think FlyQuest, the VP win, that was a dead cat bounce. Like they've been in free fall, but even a dead cat's gonna bounce. Like it's final blip, and now they're dead. And this team, they won't win a series ever again.
Ever again.
Add JKS. They won't add JKS, and maybe they do something, but I don't think they don't win a big event series for the rest of the time. Like, have you ever seen? You have analytical goggles that I don't have. Have you ever looked at a FlyQuest game, like comparing Inns and Dexter? Like, is that something you ever thought about?
No, not yet. Hopefully never, because that sounds like really painful.
Yeah, because I don't know, and I don't think Dexter was that good to begin with. But like, I absolutely feel that maybe this is like Daps and Stanislaw. This is like the system is still here as caller. He hasn't done any impact, and the second he has to make some impact happen, he's not going to do anything whatsoever.
Look, I'm not going to be that biologist who has to look at a turd and classify it. Like that's not going to be me. Like I'm not going to hold up 2 specimens of different shit and be like, which one is which species? I'm not going to bother. Like I'm going to watch them play and I'll see what I think. That's all it is for me. Like there's not much more to be done.
Yeah, I just don't like them. They pissed me off when they won wherever we were, Atlanta last year. They pissed me off because that's such a nothing win, and nothing is going to come of it. They didn't make anything out of that
masterclass.
Oh my. The fact that those words they exist in that order, like it's like
they beat Wildcard, they beat Big. I mean, someone had to do it.
Yeah, it's tough. I want them to be good so bad. I miss the 100 Thieves Renegades team, man. I do. Like I want a good Australian team so bad. I just
need
don't
the right
think
Europeans to carry you. That's what you need. Like
yeah, that's
As always, you'd know all about it in
Bring
an A.
Jacob back. Pay off his debt.
He's teamless now. He's teamless now. He can do it.
Oh god, with Kassad at coach as well. Come on, make it happen, FlyQuest. It'd be the funniest thing.
Dude, I think Grat said he wanted to come back.
He did. I saw that.
Azzer is around.
Yeah,
Welcome
maybe.
back.
Let's not go down
what's
that
Bentet
sort
doing
of
these days?
apocalyptic future. Let's not get too deep into this conversation before we end the show, because oh lord, that's something that should not be said on the air. Right. Formal apology for suggesting
absolutely
that
flip on this.
combination.
If they sign JKS, I love this team again. For sure.
You are a fickle.
It makes so much sense on paper, I feel like. Even if JKS is a little washed.
Makes so much sense.
But okay, that's our picks. Please let us know in the comments what you think about them. Who would you have taken in the positions we were in? Leave a like if you enjoyed and sub for more content. Remember that members get access to basically a whole second channel and the right to vote, which would be nice for you as well, I think. But all right, Garmour, thank you for joining us. Quacke as well, thank you for filling in as Yuumi. Did a not bad job with some of these picks. And yeah, I'll see you next time.